adversity? Bring it. The struggle? We welcome it. Snooze on life? Never that. We are Dave Regina and Mike Pirelli, and this is the No Snooze Podcast. Come on.
Welcome back to episode 21 of the No Snooze Podcast. Our episodes can drink alcohol now.
That's right. Epi 21. Have you, I was listening to Epi 20 with the wives. I thought it was a great episode, but you kept saying that you were taking a beating. So have you recovered from the beating yet?
We had a lot of good conversations post. What Dana didn't know was that there was going to be a couple of surprises for her for the weekend, which kind of drove me nuts because I couldn't say anything about that. Yep. And she, I think, also was on a higher level of stress because she felt bad about the whole scenario of the baby shower, which we'll talk about. Long story short, it all worked out. We're real good. A lot of points well taken. It's always fun to do those, but it is a battle. It's very stressful to be in that scenario in public. So right. I give ourselves a lot of credit, and you do a very good job facilitating that, but you got to be easy on the questions of what do you guys hate about us. You set them up. You gave them literally. You were like, "Here's an alley-oop. Just dunk this baby home."
I do it. I swear, I do it because I also want to hear it. And sometimes my wife, not even thinking about you guys, but being selfish for a second. But my wife, maybe she doesn't say something to my face, but maybe she feels a little more comfortable to do it in a setting like that. So I'm curious to know. I still want to know that stuff, but. I think it was a great conversation.
I was going to say one thing that I am realizing that I've been fighting is we have to read between the lines. I don't know who said it, but they said, don't try to change character or not character. Don't try to change people's habits. Just try to adjust and leverage them. Yep. So if I know deciphering all these hidden messages, I need to start figuring it out without having a direct, hey, go do this. Because I'm very direct. Hey, can you do this? Can you do that? But that's not how everyone is. So, and even in marriage, about 2 years in, you're constantly learning about the other person. And as long as you keep trying to learn, you make progress.
That's all we can do. Speaking of progress, Hotbod update. All right, I'll go first since you have that humongous glass of water there. I'm glad you're staying hydrated these days, and you look phenomenal. But you like measurable, so I am coming to the table from now on. It is my obligation to come with a detailed report of just what I'm doing. So nice. Last week was 117 miles on the Pelly. I'm at Dave Regina on the Peloton app. If you guys want to friend me there and we can compete a little bit and have some fun. Go ahead,
2
Mike.
G's, right?
Yep, 2 G's. Yep. 4,076 push-ups on the week.
Oh, right. Hold on. Let me check my count.
Yep. Yeah, you should. But
right, go ahead. Keep going.
On top of my 4 dumbbell workouts and then core exercises every other day. All right. So I am feeling good. I know you don't like to hear my updates, but this is to some people, they like hearing how we're getting after it. So tell us now how you're doing and what's going on.
So weekly, I hit 4,100 this week. Just pulled that up as we talk.
But does that include today?
Yeah, I did them today.
Yeah, see, I ended my week on Friday.
Listen, I don't end my weeks on Fridays. So that's where the difference is happening.
There hasn't been one day that you've beat me.
It doesn't matter because I have 2 extra days to catch you. So I am getting bulletproof and running my race.
Yep, as you should.
When I had everything started to click, it's when I realized, I was like, where did I fall short? I blew out my shoulder because I was pushing too hard to try to catch you versus just staying the course, which is a metaphor for life probably.
But how were you, wait, what do you mean trying to catch me? You were just trying to prolong the death.
You day by day. So when
you were 20,000 up.
Yes, but I was trying to just outlast you, which is the wrong mindset. I was playing defense, where now I'm playing offense. So I'm not going to talk too much. I'm just going to keep showing it because, some of our followers like Zach, who's given me extra motivation, he said some very nice things, but put a little more doubt on the chip on the shoulder, and I will circle back to this. But finding out what motivates me and really honing in on it has clicked it to the next notch during all this. And the puzzle pieces of knowing what I have to do and then having a plan that I can go execute has been refined through all of that time, getting my rear end beat by you in the push-up. So I thank you for getting me to this. Good. And it just took some doubt and being the underdog to get me fired up. But
I love it, and
it's a lot of fun.
I wish you the best in this journey. However, when Kobe Bryant, right? Rest in peace. Rest in peace. But once he figured out that level that he wanted to stay at, right? He was on the West Coast. He knew that the players on the East Coast were waking up, and he was 3 hours behind. So what he did was he woke up at the same time on the West Coast as they were on the East Coast, right? And he was getting in 500 shots a day, and he sustained that over, a ridiculous amount of time. So that's what I'm doing. I've already been locked into this mindset, so I don't foresee you catching me. And I mean, it's fine, and we'll go back and forth on it, but it's fun. As you elevate your game in the push-ups, I will continue to elevate mine.
So I appreciate all that, and I'm not going to play into it, but I know people, and I know when they're feeling threatened when I'm pushing, and I know you're feeling threatened a little bit. So I'm just going to keep the course. I know when you throw the comments of you can't catch me while I'm doing the Pelly, you're thinking about doing more than me in every facet of fitness. I don't care. I'm coming from one goal, and I know that's my edge, and I'm going to keep that edge because people are trying to distract me in the DMs. Hey, why don't you do a pull-up? Why don't you do this? And I'm mixing in some stuff, but I said I was going to go do something, so I'm going to go do it. 1,000 a day. I'm on my way.
All right. I accept the challenge, and I like it. But I will call you out. You had said on the last 2 episodes that you were going to wake up at 5 a.m. Saturdays and Sundays, which is something that I never committed to. I don't think that that's something that even elevates me, and there's no point for me. You said it, though, and I'm curious, why do you continue to say things and then not live up to it?
So what I'm learning in marriage is that
look at Claudio. He's laughing.
I'm happy you bring it up because
I gotta hear it.
I have no problem waking up at 5. Like tomorrow, I have to wake up early because I'm golfing, so I have to do my push-ups before I golf.
Oh,
so
that's early though. 6 a.m.
We'll play with my dad. We have an 8 a.m. tomorrow, so it's late for us. Usually it's early, but it's Mother's Day, so I can play a little later.
Yep.
So when the 5 a.m. thing, when I said it that weekend, I did it no problem. My beautiful wife, which I really didn't take into consideration, was not happy. There's the effect of Petey getting up, and I think I could still do it, but I had to give it a week to rest because she was not happy with me getting up at 5 a.m. every day.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's almost easier to do it every day than to take off on a Saturday, Sunday. Even in my real estate world, the weekends where I'm busy, I hit Monday way more in the groove than taking off a couple of days, which a lot of people will criticize for and say it's not sustainable. But waking up the same time every day, like I have to give you a lot of credit. By waking up at 5 a.m. every day, I have so much more time to get so much more done in the morning. And we'll talk about this when we talk about many hats, but blocking off and knowing I have 2 hours to get everything I need to get in fitness-wise within that time slot makes me more focused to do everything I need to do. And right now I'm doing all my comments. So I'm doing all that while doing comments. And each week I'm going to continue to refine that. And I've been trying to do it in less and less time. And the wake ups have been no problem. So that getting to that edge where 5 a.m. is just another day, I wake up no problem. Even if I'm out late, even if we're hanging out with the family late, it's what is your word? It's a habit, right?
It's a
gives
habit,
me the edge to know that if I have that time, I'll get it done. But in the past, I didn't create that time. I was putting that time at the end of the day and doing all of my push-ups throughout the day where I was like, this isn't good because I have distractions. If I do them all at once, then I give myself enough time to recover and I don't have to worry about it the rest of the day. I check it off the list. So that was a big thing too. I figured out was the many hats scenario that we'll talk about. time blocking is really important to get things done. Else you have all of this chaos and stress of trying to get all your push-ups in by the end of the day. Not to say that I might not have to do that with certain scenarios, but if I majority of the time can stick to the 2-hour slot and try to get the 1,000 in 2 hours, I'll be in really good shape.
1,000.
I don't know what we were even talking about. I just went on a tangent.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of answered the question, but you kind of deflected. All I was saying was, why did you say that you were going to wake up every day, and then for a couple weekends you haven't woken up at 5 o'clock?
Long story short, the answer is my wife put a stop to it, and I'm going to try to work on that.
Yeah.
I'm realizing that everything I say, there are 2 people involved now because we are in the home together and she is pregnant. And sometimes I come off the handle quick and don't consider the repercussions and just put myself in a scenario where I cannot execute that right away. But in time, I'll be able to execute it with moving some pieces around, like the home gym that I'm developing and the studio. It moved. Sometimes I'm realizing I throw out these goals and I put the timeline too short. And then people think I stopped and I failed at it because it doesn't happen quick. And then 4 months down the road, they're like, oh, you actually did that.
Well, look, I'm here to support you. I think you're
up at 6 today.
You're crushing
up early.
I don't claim to wake up at 5 a.m. on Saturdays. I get up at my time, but I was just curious because you specifically said on a podcast publicly that you were going to do it. So I was just curious. I was just asking. That's all.
Well, you inspired me too, because you talk about the David Goggins all the time and taking souls.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm thinking this is one of the hardest adversities we're going to run into up to this date as far as lifestyle, right?
What is hard?
Like dealing with the pandemic.
Yeah.
And trying to keep up everything while having a pregnant wife and preparing for a baby. So all of this scenario. So what I'm trying to do is I'm thinking, like, if everyone's looking from the outside in my network of other real estate agents, like, I don't compete with them, but I do like to let them know that I'm working and I'm working hard to not intimidate, but give me an edge. So when I see them, they're like, I don't know how you get all this stuff done. It just gives you that level of confidence that you can go into a meeting if you're pitching against someone and be able to bring that type of drive and animosity and tenacity to the task. So my thought was, how can I take the souls of everyone that I'm working against right now? And it was like, if I wake up at 5 a.m. every day, no problem. I do all my push-ups and I'm just pumping out crazy amounts of content in a pandemic. They're going to be, when you come out of this, they're going to be like, he's an animal. I don't know what to say about him.
And
so that was a thought too. You inspired me.
It seems like something is clicking, which I love because it only adds to what we're doing here. But exactly what you're saying is the mindset. And now sustaining this exactly where you're at with that same energy over an extended period of time, what that does to your own confidence. You've been doing this a couple weeks, a couple months. Wait until it's now over an extended period of time for both of us. It's just going to continue to stack. And that's where there is really we don't do it to compete. But at the same time, you accept that confidence. You're pushing one another. And I know that when push comes to shove, there's nobody working like us. And that's not a cocky comment. It's not something that I'm just talking about in the gym. I'm talking about mental toughness, right? Because we have that same mindset, and us now learning to apply it to every aspect of the life is what we're going for. But yeah. That was a great little section there. Go ahead.
One more point, because I like to get my perspective out. So a lot of people would have seen that the push into March was like me being focused, and then getting hit with the pandemic and falling off the wagon for like 2 weeks was a restart. But I built all the foundation in that 3 months. I just got sidetracked with everything going on. So I had to prioritize other things, like getting the house in order, getting the baby's room done, getting things in place so that I can get back on track and keep accelerating. Mm-hmm. So maybe verbally, I made it sound like I was quitting, but in my head, I had no intention. It was, I knew I had a couple hurdles to get over to get back on track. I just want to correct that.
Yeah, thank you. Because there was a couple weeks, week after week, we're becoming punting Pirelli. Now we're back. We're running it back. So
position.
Good.
Field position.
Let's keep that energy and that focus. Prego update, right? Karina is now 33 weeks and we're getting extremely close. I have now geared all of my 10 pages directly towards becoming becoming a dad, the challenges, the adversity, learning about brain development in that first year. So I'm trying to take, certain measures to now not worry about like personal and self-development reading as I always do, but gear it to something that now is going to, be the biggest change of my life. But how are you guys doing?
We're doing well. Dana had an appointment, and did they talk about how much hair your little girl's going to have?
Yeah. Thanks for listening to me on the podcast. I think I said that 2 episodes ago.
Did you? There's too much input going on.
I know.
Right now.
It is tough. It is tough.
I can't. And people ask me, they're like, "What if you said this?" And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. But there's too much going on. We'll talk about in the many hats. There's only so many things you can hold in your head.
Yep. Good point.
So they said like our baby's gonna have a ton of hair. So, which I think is hilarious.
Well, look at her. Look at her uncle. Look at her uncle. Look at me.
Yeah, seriously. Dana's been doing good. A lot of heartburn because of the hair scenario, and a lot of discomfort. But she's been good. She's a trooper. She's been doing a lot around the house. I'm trying to keep her. Yeah, it's around the corner. That's another reason that I think I'm accelerating through the curve, is because I realize, like, if I don't get my stuff together as far as processes now, when the baby comes, I have no shot.
Right.
So you got to get it really steadfast now.
Yep. Build the fundamentals, take that preparation, and now it's just about us executing the game plan.
It's like boot camp.
Right. So ironically, right after we had the women on, we recorded that on a Friday night. The next day was a great day for you guys. Do you want to tell everybody about that? Let's recap that.
Yeah, it was awesome. There was Mrs. Salvo, and my mother helped a bit, organized a bunch of people to do a baby shower parade. So as a lot of people are, our wives, among other people who had other events pushed back or canceled, Dana was devastated that she wasn't going to have a baby shower, to be able to share that with everyone. And she was very positive about it and saying, listen, we'll just do it after the fact. But it was a really nice surprise that her mother and her family and my family stepped up. People drove from hours away, you guys, a lot of her friends, and a lot of people that didn't come either because it wasn't extended out because they didn't want it too crazy, to respect everyone, or because they already sent gifts or didn't want to discomfort them or make them feel like they had to drive. Either way, it was overwhelming. It was incredible. It was, it was a very bright spot and a tough time, especially for her. I was just kind of standing back and smiling because she was crying. Whenever she cries of happy tears, I'm like, oh, they nailed it.
Right.
So it was like her mom was crying. My mom's like me, not super emotional, but she was smiling in her ear. My dad, so it was, my grandpa, everyone came out in droves, and it was awesome. It just shows that, like, you got to make the best of the situation. But you guys were a very big part of that, and we thank you.
Oh, no, absolutely, man. But it was beautiful. You guys looked awesome. Dana looked so happy. The families did an incredible job. So
a funny story,
thing to see.
A mini story that I want to share with everyone, which I thought was hilarious, was I was trying to get everything organized and do my minimal part in the surprise. And my job was to move the cars so that people can like move over and say hello so cars could get by. So Dana's car, we literally haven't moved in months. And I'm like, Dana, like, throw me the keys. I'm going to go move the car. And it was right in the spot that we needed to move so people can move in and out. And I go in and all you hear is, I'm like, oh my God, the car's dead. And it's like 5 minutes before everything's starting. So I was like, I guess that's the scenario. I'm like, people are going to just have to go around it. And like everyone was backed up because they couldn't weave in. So I was like, you know what? People are going to hate us on the street, but hopefully they understand we did the best we could.
It was awesome. It really was. Good, man. So, we have one more shot because her original baby shower was supposed to happen in April. We pushed it back to the beginning of June. We're probably going to end up canceling it. So, we'll see what happens, but it's a crazy time for them, but also, it is our responsibility to do exactly what you did and make them feel that support that I know everybody wishes, they could bring to the table. But what you guys did was incredible. I loved it.
Yeah.
All right, man. So No Snooze recommendations. Now, this is one that I have been doing, I want to say every day in the pandemic. I've been hungrier lately, and I usually eat a ton as it is. But I've been having this just itch for peanut butter and jelly, and I always eat peanut butter and jelly.
Love peanut butter
right?
and jelly.
But I haven't had like a really, just a good old school peanut butter and jelly. So what I did, and I don't know what made me think of it, and I've shared it a couple times on Instagram, but I figured I'd come and say it because it's something that I'm doing now and I'm just loving it. But it's rice cakes, and you take apple cinnamon rice cakes, right? Which are half of the calories and half of the carbs of even wheat bread. Right. So
I love rice cakes.
Right. But you take an apple cinnamon, nice little layer of, peanut butter and a little jelly on top. It is gold, Mike. I'm telling you, go try it. Tag us in it. But my sister-in-law has been loving it too. My mother-in-law, a couple people are like, wow, this is really good.
So you're using regular peanut butter and regular jelly still?
Well, yeah, I use a Skippy natural peanut butter. I don't get crazy with the, the whole almond butter. Almond butter is good. It's just ridiculously expensive. But then I have regular jelly and I have strawberry sugar-free. I like to switch them up, but depending on what I'm feeling is what I go with.
So I love this recommendation, and I want to give you an idea. So I've been doing sprout bread, which apparently is very, very good for you.
What is it? Bean sprouts?
So it's apparently, in general, when plants are sprouting, and I'm not a scientist, so don't hold me to this. When plants are sprouting, like broccoli sprouts or whatever sprout it is, it has more nutrients because it's growing, and I guess it's more concentrated. Comment if you can correct me here. So the bread just has an incredible amount of I don't know what the term is, but nutrients. It's nutrient dense. Shout out Ashley, my cousin, who that's her Instagram handle. So you take the sprout bread, and I like to do one piece, so it's not too much of the bread anyway. Sometimes two if it's a hard workout day. And you take almond butter, which I know it's expensive, but
it's good. It is good.
It's a good alternative if you have it. Then I take blueberries that are frozen, and I throw them in the microwave and then like mix them up. So it creates like a jelly, but nothing in it. And you throw that on it. And it's like this super PB&J. I love the taste of mushed up blueberries. It's different. It's definitely not the same and as sweet, but it's awesome. I've done that a bunch of times because I was craving it.
I have a huge bag of frozen blueberries that I use in my smoothies. So I got to try that out. Thank you. So what do you got for your recommendation? Is that your recommendation or?
It could be, but I don't want to overshadow yours.
No.
So my recommendation is another YouTube channel. I will add this to the No Snooze Approved. I know a couple people have stumbled on it. It is called The Passionate Few. It's with Omar is the host. Does a great job, asks great questions. I've always liked rags to riches stories because I like to hear the tactics people use to get to the upper level. And usually where they start is very grounding. It's someone who's tried a bunch of things and failed and just keeps refining and then found their vehicle to get to the next level. But it's The Passionate Few. I watched it with Tom Bilyeu, which we talk about constantly in all of his quest stuff. But I try to do it in the mornings, and it's very inspirational but very tactical, and they share very tangible things that you can implement. It's great. So it's called The Passionate Few.
That's awesome.
And they have really good guests.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, I've heard of it to you.
I've heard of it, but I didn't check it out.
So the guy who clicked with me on that I loved was the Tom Bilyeu one for sure, and he was really good. And then there was this guy who started a fitness brand, and it was very applicable to what we're trying to do. Although we're a lifestyle brand, it was very interesting to hear how he grew it and how it was very very slow, and then it hit a point where it just kind of took off. So it's interesting.
Right. I love that, man. And keep giving those recommendations. And even when you send them to us, the 30-minute clips and stuff, I know it seems like 30 minutes, but it's amazing. Even while you're brushing your teeth, just kind of getting ready for the morning, you throw a clip like that on and it just changes the whole mindset for the day. And
YouTube has algorithms that realize that you like that type of stuff, and it keeps feeding you all this. I don't want to use the word positive because it's very vague, but it feeds you all this helpful and applicable information that is very, very, I guess positive is the right word.
Yep. All right, cool, man. Thank you for that. So today I had texted you guys before, and I basically said, look, like this episode, and I was telling my wife too, this episode for me is something that I need help on. You know, like we wear so many different hats, as we call it, you know, in life, and people see us as, you know, working professionals, young married men, you know, fathers to be, but we're still, you know, we're still brothers, we're still sons. So there's so many different, you know, aspects of our life that now we're, you know, publicly recording certain aspects of it. But it's very challenging, and it's something that I want to only be able to manage a little bit easier, get better every day. And I don't really know, you know, how to do it. So my hope is that we can kind of bounce back and forth and feed off of each other, you know, in terms of those different hats.
Okay, I like it.
Right.
And I like to, when I'm trying to help or talk through things with people, I like when they give me like specific example, because then you can really show like, oh, this is what I kind of would try. And if that worked, you say the same principle you apply to something else.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess my first thing is, and when I was kind of going through this in my head, I'm like, all right, well, which hat do I struggle with the most?
Which small hat?
Right. Which small hat?
Specify
Right. I have a little bean head over here. But I think it's the hat, and we mentioned it on the last episode, and I wanted to elaborate on it. But it's really the son, the brother, the family hat beyond my household. I think I can do so much more to try to, you know, reach out to my brother and sister, reach out to my mom and dad, check in on my grandma, check in on my aunts, uncles, cousins, all that. Even friends that, you know, you don't really see all the time. But I feel like that's the hat that I struggle with the most, because there's so many other things going on. But it's all an excuse as to why I'm not, you know, the best. And I don't know if you struggle with that either, but it just seems like there's never enough time to get everything you want done and reach out to those people.
Yeah. Something, I mean, I guess I took it away from you guys during all this is if you put it on your schedule, it gets done. So, for example, my grandmothers, I try to call them. I have two grandmothers, and I try to call my grandparents this like back to back. So I know that I'm not leaving one of them out. So I'm putting them together and saying, all right, well, I got to call my grandmother because her present just came in for Dana. So I'm going to call my other one after Nana. So, and I try to do that like on times where I have a little more time. So Fridays usually end up pretty well for that. So trying to figure out that, and then also like knowing that you have to call them, and then knowing that if you're on a drive and you have some downtime in your car is a perfect time. So a time where you would usually either be, you know, listening to a podcast or just kind of aimlessly thinking is a great time to talk to family. That's what I've found. I've tried to call people while I'm available. And if they call me and I can't answer it, I just keep trying to call them back when I'm around. So it is hard though. I'm still trying to figure it out.
And it's interesting you say that about the schedule thing, because even my downtime, you know, I schedule that too when things are normal. So maybe I do need to put something on the calendar and the schedule. But then I also think like, this is going to get harder as the daughters come, right? So now you know, your dad hat, I guess, has got to become the primary hat. But it's something that I definitely want to get better at. And honestly, I just got to practice what I preach and really just stop saying it, go take small actions, and then creating some sort of, I don't know, a schedule or something, but it's trying to reach out to everybody. And it's hard because, you know, here I am on a podcast making time for everything that I want to do. So it's almost selfish in a way. And then when I think about that, that's when I feel bad. But, you know, I get it.
Also, too, is like holidays. Try to, and I struggle with this, is not working for like a day, which, yes, you could lose a deal because of it. You could lose a client because they don't respect that. But if you can, like Mother's Day is this weekend, and I know all day I'm going to be with family, I need to get everything done today so that we're prepared for the t-shirt launch and all this stuff Monday. But if I am able to kind of clear my schedule, then you have more quality time and it makes everything more effective. So even if instead of talking 10 hours a week on the phone, you spend 5 hours one day or 3 hours one day with someone, it makes them feel and makes you feel more of a connection because you have that face-to-face time. So it's like being more effective with it too.
It's a good point, but we also have different scenarios in that too. Like you guys are very fortunate that, you know, both your parents and Dana's parents are married and have great marriages, been together forever. Yeah. I come from a divorced household, so my dad is now remarried, so I have to see on a continuous basis, right? You have to plug in the dad's side, you have to plug in the mom's side. Then on my wife's side, she comes from a divorced household. So it's not 2, it's now 4. So we have to make time for my mother-in-law and my father-in-law also.
So maybe you host. Maybe you host things, which you do a lot.
But then there's certain personalities don't blend well. So
but I'm saying if you host an event, right, and you say, I know you're a very difficult scenario. But if you host an event, you could say, listen, you guys come from this time. Well, the problem is people hang out.
All right. You got from 1 to 2, and then mom's got to come.
It's so hard.
You know what I mean? But this is where when I talk with Karina about it, I'm like, you know, we are going to, and I think this is the solution moving forward. Even though there's personalities that don't blend, it's going to have to be like when we do a birthday party that everybody is invited. And unfortunately, if you don't want to come, I mean, I guess we can connect on a video chat or something like that. But this scenario right now, I'm glad you brought it out because it made me get specific on it. But coming from, you know, a separate homes on both sides of things. And as it was a little easier to manage when we were younger, when we were together, when we were 20, 21, 22, we used to just pop all 4 places. Now that's not happening. You know, so this is exactly what I struggle with, and I'm going to continue to struggle with it. But I guess it's figuring out. I want to ask you though, which hat would you say you put the most time into, and then does that take away from your other hats?
I think the business hat I put the most time into, but I've tried to find ways to incorporate the family hat into the business hat. And the reason I'm working so hard on the business hat is that when the kids come, I can put more time into the family hat, which is a very confusing response. No, but it's strategic because I know now I have a little more time. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, why I've pushed so hard before this moment. And then once the baby gets here, it's going to be a completely different ball game. And those baskets are going to sway. My whole thought is, can I keep my level of output with this, with more efficiency and not less effort, but just less time, and be able to bring this up higher while I'm doing that? So it's like, maybe I'm not as shotgun approach with all of my deals. Maybe I'm focusing more on condos, hyper local, and getting my foot in the door because you can scale that faster, and vacant properties, right? Maybe it's just trying to be more intentional about my business hat so that my family hat can be more involved. But for example, like my business hat, I realized that I need to go out and we need to show local food places. So my thought was like, how can I do that while also enjoying a night out and a date night with Dana? Well, we can go find and try out new places locally. And I am working on figuring out networking within there, but I'm also having a great night with my wife and prioritizing her. So sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you just need to turn the mind off and just enjoy some time. But it's nice if you can incorporate both and try to create a kind of a lifestyle that it's less distinguishable. What's business, what's family. It's all, which can get messy, but it's all complementing each other. It's a hard, you're trying to make a smoothie with flavors that don't mix.
Right. And I would agree, except for now, because we've spoke about, the issues that my wife and I had in the past, now us being together 10 years. I used to be so focused on that business hat that it took away from the husband hat. Whereas now I am so focused on the husband hat. I can't really speak to the dad hat yet because we're not there yet. But I mean, even Claudio will tell you, I was so focused on money, and I'm still I would consider myself, I say it all the time, a money dude. You're motivated by money. But my deeper, I guess, passion now is more geared towards the family. So having that consciousness, I do think back though, when that was a real problem for me. And it was like when I was like 25, 26 years old, and I had made my first 100,000 in a year. Right. And I don't say that to brag by any means, because honestly, I did it because I had two jobs, a side hustle, and I was working so much, right? But to me, it was like, no, I got to make that first $100,000 in a year. And what that did, though, when I was so focused on that money, it took away from and really created a really bad time in my life. But I was so, I guess, satisfied with one, that, yeah, I'm making this money. And then two, and me being very, very honest here, I was so into the club scene, you know? So I felt that, wow, like I'm taking this money that I made, and instead of, you know, doing really good things with it, I'm going to go out in the club and I'm going to go make some noise, and I'm going to go post on social media, and I'm going to do this. So I'm glad that my struggle now is I'm trying to talk about like how my family hats and that type of stuff, because before, Mike, this was a really poor time in my life. And you obviously knew me during this time too. But it's a whole different mindset, which is what you said, and intertwining it. But I still need to get better at it, you know, but that's that's what I think about, is when I was 25, 26, and I, you know, was married already, and I saw my marriage going in a downhill slope, and I was like, yo, dude, you better switch it up. And thank God I did. But what would you say now brings you the most satisfaction, you know, for your hats?
So I think you make a really good point with the money being the driver and the goal. I also was money hungry in a sense of like, I was trying to gain a certain number, where now that I'm taking a step back, it was all for a good cause, to create freedom and a family life and a lifestyle I would be proud of and be able to give my kids. And, you know, I was fortunate enough to come from a great home where it was this scenario for us, but it's really important for me to be involved on the family level. And I enjoy when our whole family's around a table. So that was always the goal, but money was always the target. Mm-hmm. Now I'm trying to make the target kind of cash flow and flexibility and freedom, and trying to make the goal, you know, my price per hour that I'm generating, so that I can reallocate that time to family and lifestyle. And the biggest joys I get is when I'm sitting around the table with family, and we've talked about this, and we're having a great meal and stories are being told, and there's everyone's phones in their pockets, and you're just kind of enjoying life together, whether it's a barbecue, it's at the restaurant, it's on a beach. Those times where you can just kind of be with friends and BS, and, you know, are some of my favorite. And on top of that, being able to travel and kind of connect with your roots, and taking all these trips to Italy that we've done. It's probably not the best use of money in our life at this time, but the experiences really have shaped how we think about life and how we want to design our life to then build the family with, you know, the one we're growing with our kids and our parents. So the target changed for me, and it kind of clicked that I'm working so hard to generate this freedom, which I have already. You know, I already have the freedom to do all this stuff, but you have to be smart about it so that you can continue on the trajectory to continue that freedom. Because if you tilt it too much to enjoying yourself, like you were saying, like hitting the club every night and stuff, then you need to continue to keep that really crazy output to keep up that lifestyle. Right. Versus if you can have a huge trip a year, which we tried to do and we've been trying to do, and really have an incredible time, and then continue the trajectory, then you're setting yourself up for enjoying yourself now, but also building a system that's going to spit out the resources you need to continue a lifestyle. So it's like, even with the t-shirts, right? What we always talk about, and what I'm obsessed with, is how can I create a process where it's not completely removing ourselves, but making our time very efficient. So with a drop shipping company, and a very reputable one, yes, we're probably going to make less money per shirt, and we're pulling the screen back here because we are a business, and you guys will get to learn all of our strategies, so hopefully you can implement them. But yes, we are going to make less per shirt on selling these shirts and growing the brand. But ultimately, if you make, say, $5 a shirt versus $15 a shirt, and you're only spending, say a minute on managing that process versus delivering, which could take 30 minutes to an hour, your return per time is way more. And then we get to do things we love, is record podcasts, market, shoot fun videos. Like, you free yourself up to do more stuff that builds and is able to accelerate that, that $5 versus the 15. So I think about that constantly, even with real estate. And that's why I'm making a push to content and evergreen content, because I realize if I can duplicate myself, that's the equivalent of me meeting face to face with people and having coffees in the morning, which I've done for years. But at some point, it just doesn't get, we're going to have little girls that I'm going to have coffee with in the morning. That's going to be my coffee with them. I'm not going to be able to network like I used to. But you have to embrace and try to accelerate in another form. So that's, I'm getting carried away because this is all stuff I constantly think about.
Of course. But this is exactly what I want. And it's interesting because I'll tell you, and I know we have a large following that's, younger and even some of the college kids that do follow us and engage with us. But you see all the time these millionaires and these billionaires talking about once you remove the money mindset. And I get it, because Mike and I, for a very long time, and even still, had to really hustle to even get where we're at now. So by no means are we saying don't hustle, but once you find that niche and you find that passion, I feel like I'm working less now. More money is coming in from different opportunities, but it's not until you have to realize that you're chasing a passion versus going to chase money. And I know it's hard to hear, but Mike and I make regular money compared to millionaires that are out there. And just know that when you are focusing and honing in on skills and passion projects and things that you want to do, it might take a little bit longer, but you will eventually get to where you want to get. And again, Mike and I are not where we want to be, and we're nowhere near where we're going to be. But it's just interesting to see, from when we were 15 years old to now being 30 and expecting, daughters on the way. Just that whole, it's fun to look back at, but you spit a lot of gold in that. And again, with the tips and the strategies, hopefully there is certain takeaways for people.
Well, my thought, and I try to tell people, I don't do a lot of mentorship, like giving people advice, because I don't feel like I've made it at all. And I feel like I'm constantly learning. But if people do ask me, they're like, oh, what would your advice be to me for, like, I'm starting this thing or that thing? I always tell people.
That's literally one of the questions.
Is that a question?
Literally. But go ahead. I guess we'll just handle it.
My point is that if you could look at things on a long-term trajectory in whatever you do, sometimes it's going to hurt you because you're not going to do something because you don't think it's sustainable. And sometimes you need to do something that's not sustainable to get it going, to get to the point where you can make it sustainable. But if you can know that you have a long-term vision that you're trying to implement, then your decisions you're making decisions based on creating that process that's more manageable in the future. And being able to continue to refine that is where people really accelerate and pass up people. Because if you're doing very well and you're doing it a certain way, it's very hard to go in there, like, what's not broke, don't fix, or whatever the term is. I disagree. I think if it's not broken, but it could be working a little better and you could be removing yourself a little bit, then try to fix it. Because worst case scenario, you just go back to what you were doing. So I constantly tell people, like, yes, you're doing really well in real estate now. Like, you're going all over, you're in Fairfield County, Westchester, but can you do better by just focusing in on Greenwich? Can you try to refine it a little more? And yes, maybe you don't make the same this year, but are you going to accelerate past what your trajectory would have been if you're running around like crazy elsewhere? So it's like constantly looking at the big picture, and you might have to get into the slow lane so that you can let all these trucks pass, but then you slide to the left and then you go by them. So that's always constantly what I'm telling people to think about. And that's what I'm always thinking about, which gets me into trouble sometimes because you cut off something that you probably could have been. But that's when you let money, the money can still be the goal, but how you obtain it, it has to be more, you have to be more strategic and think about your time versus the money you're trying to go get. How do you maximize that, the relationship between the two?
I think that's a great point. And that'll play right into this Questy. This one was a little bit more specific, but might as well go there since we're on that topic. and it says, "Please keep this anonymous. I have been
Who is it?
I have been debating starting a podcast, but haven't because I keep making excuses. Dave, what was the best move you guys made starting out? Mike, what would you have done differently in the beginning?" So it says, Dave, what was the best move you made starting out? So I would say, and I don't know if Mike would agree or disagree, and same thing with Claudio, but I think the best decision we made was actually a debate from the beginning on specifically Mike and I. But I wanted to get our audio visual really strong and have our content be what we wanted to align with, because I felt that if we were putting out a good product, it would be easier to grow a brand versus the very first thing. And this goes against what Gary Vee says all the time. Just document, put it out, like put it out, put it out, put it out. Mike and I went back and forth because he was like, dude, we could record this quickly. Like, let's just put these episodes out. I'm glad personally that we waited until we had the structure and the flow, because I feel like it's easier for people to latch onto versus putting something out, hoping people latch onto it, which they would. I just think it takes longer of a process. So the short answer is I think we put out a good product once we refined it versus going in, right away and just putting everything we recorded out at first. Like, it took us 4 or 5 different times before we even put out, our first podcast. So that'd be my answer.
What was my portion of the question?
It says,
I was so into your answer.
It said, Mike, what would you have done differently from the beginning, if anything?
Different from the beginning. Yeah, I think the giving ourselves time to figure it out was good. I think from the beginning, if we could have recorded in the mornings, which my schedule didn't allow, it would have been a lot better, because I look back at the beginning and we were shot, like waking up at 5, working all day, and then trying to do this at night. It didn't give it the energy it needed.
That plays exactly into my answer too on the first part, right? I feel like that was not our best product. So I'm so glad we didn't, because of what you're saying. Like, our energy was trash. It was so bad.
But you should just start, like, whoever that is, I would just start it, and you don't have to put them out yet, but get in the routine of recording. And find your message. Like, if you need to find a business partner or partners to have conversations with, part of the reason we stuck with it was I didn't want to let them down. And I know probably part of the reason they stuck with it too was they didn't want to let me down. So it's harder to do things alone. I don't know what your personality is. Maybe you enjoy that stuff, but making it easy to do it and doing it once a week at the same time is probably a good starting point.
It's a good start, right? Yeah. And I would definitely say, I wish I knew the
and find a CV if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I see that too. I was gonna mention that, but it makes it easier when you do have like-minded individuals to, assist the process, and help you figure it out along the way. But even if you don't have that, I think documenting is a really good thing. But personally, I would not put anything out there until you know that that's the message that you want to put across. But also go for the podcast. Like now, I just think there's room for everybody. Even if you wanted to go target, if somebody were to say, hey, look, we're starting a podcast and it's the exact same thing that you guys are doing, go ahead. There's 50,000 other, motivational podcasts, but we have completely different experiences, right? So you can still go out and start your own podcast. I think there's room for everybody these days. And it was funny because somebody actually reached out to me on a text message, a very close friend was like, yo, would you feel that I was copying you guys if I started my own podcast? Like, what? Like, where did that, like, no, of course not. You can go do anything you want to do. And I think there's room for everybody. Now, is everybody going to be good at it? Are we good at it? I don't know. But we at least now are on this journey together. We committed to it, and we're excited about it. So go ahead and definitely launch that pod.
And to complement your point, having all the audio technical stuff at a high level made it feel more real, even when we were in the Fire Festival stage.
Right.
And then getting a logo gave us some pride in something to pump out and made it more real. So if you can keep continuing to make it more, treat it as a business, you're more likely to follow through with it, because you're creating this brand that you're putting energy into, and you see that growing, versus if you're just kind of floating around and not promoting a certain thing, it's harder to identify what you're, seeing the logo, seeing the intro song, seeing all the equipment. It just makes you more professional. I don't know. There's just a mental game.
It makes sense. And they say 99% of podcasts fail because of exactly what you're saying, but on top of being consistent. That's a major thing in life in general. If you're going to commit to something, you better commit to it and just constantly put things out. You know how many times we go back and forth and it's like, oh, that was a stupid clip. That was this, that was that. But everybody, we basically, our following that we have now is not humongous by any means, but they know that we're going to continue to put things out. So at first it might seem stupid to people, but then people are like, whoa, like these guys are pretty serious about what they're doing. You will never change people overnight, but people will latch on to your work ethic and they will see if you're consistent about something. And if they can relate to your niche, that's when you start to create a following and focus on that small following of 5 to 10 people versus worrying about getting 100,000 followers. Like Mike and I are so organic in our growth right now that our Instagram is not big by any means. I mean, you're talking, less than 2,500 people. But when you look at the numbers on our listens, it's even bigger than the Instagram page, and all that stuff just adds up. And week by week, it's all content that you can actually, go back to. That's that.
That's a good question.
Very good. This one, Shannon in Florida. Hold on, I gotta pull it up.
Is that her tag? Shannon in Florida?
No, her
rubbing it in.
It was her Instagram name was Stone Age something with some numbers. I'm a high school teacher and asked this question the other day, and I think it says a lot about how you think as a person. Room, desk, and your car. Which do you clean first and why? You want me to go first?
Desk, car. Yeah, you can go ahead.
I'll go first. So,
like the weight room?
The room, baby, the room. So I would definitely clean my room first because it's the first place that I open my eyes into. And me personally, I can't have a messy space either first thing when I wake up or when I go to sleep. So my room would need to be on point before anything. My desk would then be second because that's where I spend the second, I'd say the most amount of time doing business. And when I have a clean workspace, I am much more focused on the task at hand versus worrying about any clutter that's around me. And then my car, because I view my car more as a leisure thing. Still like to keep a clean car for sure, but it would be room, then my desk, and then the car.
So I like that. I would say if it's a work desk, because I'm probably need that clear so I can get stuff done right off the bat. Car, because I'll probably be going to appointments and things with that. Then room, because no one else sees the room for now.
Right. So you see, and this is probably what Shannon wanted.
And that's why our room's a mess right now.
No, but that's probably what, like, when you do this, imagine doing this in a classroom and you see all the different perspectives and the different thought processes. It's all, perspective drives your own performance, right? Every day of the week. So
I'm going to admit, so I always, even when I was little, and people are going to hate this, I always was like, it's so stupid to make a bed. And I've read the book, which it makes perfect sense. For the longest time, I was like, it's so dumb because you're just getting back in. No one sees it. I get the mindset. I just can't get over the hump for the bed thing. And maybe it's because I get out of bed first. And
I was going to say, I thought you were saying the physical hump. Like Dana was the hump that's in the bed that you can't.
Oh, no.
You can't make it
but
because she's in it.
Yeah.
But yes, there is.
Can you imagine that? Waking up every day and making the bed, like tucking. And then she wakes up and she's like.
Yeah, well, I did it for a very long time. But now especially because, my wife is home, I can't do it. So we just make the bed when she gets out of it now. But it's something I definitely had to adapt to because even in college, I was like the only one that was making my bed. But, that's that. This is your favorite section. Would you rather, Questies? To snooze or not to snooze? Would you rather Thanksgiving leftovers or kale salad for lunch every single day for the rest of your life? Wow.
This is a good question. I would say
and don't talk
Thanksgiving
to me.
dinner leftovers because you could pick and choose. There's more variety. and you could somewhat eat healthy because you're having turkey. Usually.
See, I would go kale salad just strictly because of health reasons. I think if you're stacking stuffing in your stomach every single
you
day,
could omit stuffing
over the amount in the course of your life. I would have to go kale salad.
There's more options though, like turkey dinner leftovers. There's a lot of variety.
Yeah, but my turkey dinner leftovers is not just turkey. There's, sweet potatoes and
exactly.
Yeah,
sweet potatoes
but,
are great.
But with marshmallows on top and the gravy, like I can't be doing that every day for lunch.
We should do a challenge and try to eat kale salad every day, and I'll try to do turkey leftovers. That'd be hilarious.
This one's good. Would you rather have a guaranteed? Okay, and before I say this, there is also, don't go to what if. Can I invest? Can I do this? Like, it's a quick shot, all right?
It's first thing comes to my head. Go ahead.
Guaranteed $100K or take a 50-50 chance on $1 million.
50-50.
Me too.
Life-changing type of money.
100%. Because exactly that. Like, 100K is 100K, but that's not like a game-changing amount of money.
Gets interesting if you say 500,000 versus $1 million.
What do you mean? 500?
It gets interesting if that's the two numbers.
Oh no, I would take 500,000 if that was the case.
What about?
But
at what level would you take the chance? Like at what number?
Guaranteed $300,000 or a 50-50 on $1 million. Then maybe
kind of tough. This is tough.
That is tough, but the 100K to me. But you know how many people would choose 100K guaranteed cash right in front of you? Do you know
I don't
how
blame
many
them
people?
Because if you have the confidence that you can do something with that, and it's important to you now, like there's a lot of people that if you gave them 100K right now, it would be life changing.
Oh, of course, of course, and it can be life changing if you had the opportunity.
Either way, I guess, right?
And if you took that and you invested it, blah blah blah. But I'm saying right now, 100K or a 50-50 shot, I gotta go.
I take the 50-50 shot.
I'm curious though, CV, which one are you going? You going 50-50 or 100K? 100K.
He's on mute. Is he 100?
He's on mute, but
listen, what is it saying? Like one in the hand is better, two in the bush?
One in the hand is better, two in the bush. I don't get it.
It's a bird or something.
Yeah, he said 100, you see? And my wife definitely said 100. I guarantee you Dana would say 100.
We do have baby. Dana, I'm going to ask her right now.
Go ahead.
Would you rather take 100K guaranteed now or a 50-50 chance for $1 million? She said 100K, no hesitation.
I told you.
She said because then you just invest it because she's a day trader now.
I get it. But
I'm just kidding.
I knew it.
She's not.
It's Mike, keep this one away from her and let's see how you answer this. This one's tough.
Okay.
Are you listening?
Yeah, she's going to visit grandma.
All right, good. Let me know when she leaves real quick.
Are you bringing Pete? No?
All right.
That's right. Boys' Day. Go ahead.
All right. So
Boys' Day, me and Pete, baby.
Would you rather be married to a 10 with a bad personality or a 6 with an amazing personality? And obviously we're both married to 10s with great personalities, but which one would you choose?
Wait, say that again. A 6 with what?
A 6 with a good personality
good.
Or a 10 with a terrible personality.
I have a million follow-up questions, but off the cuff, I take the 6.
And I'm sorry. Yeah, it's the 6 with an amazing personality.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm like a 6, maybe.
I was just gonna say,
So,
I would definitely go 6 with an amazing personality because the looks. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be good for a little bit, but then after that, you're gonna be very. I don't know. You can't be with somebody that's dense like that.
It depends. So, what you want. I mean, if you need a 10 for certain things, then go with it. That's a hilarious one too. Yeah, these questions are.
They're tough, right?
Is CV submitting all of these?
It's a good thing that our wives don't listen to the podcast. They only listen every 10, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely get in trouble for that answer.
No, definitely not. We have 10s.
Because then she'd be like, "What am I, a 6?"
We
have an incredible personality.
We have 10s with incredible personalities anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
All right, and now this will bring us into Dave's Dime of the Week.
Dimes. CV is throwing out some hilarious comments on the side.
What do you
Luckily,
say?
they're anonymous. Very funny.
Oh, I missed it.
Because he sends it and he sits there and he goes,
oh, there he goes.
because he's waiting for you to see
wow.
it and
I'm
laugh.
putting him on blast now. So now he said,
No, don't
wow.
say it. Don't say it.
So somebody wrote in, I'm asking for a friend. 6 if I'm poor and 10 if I'm rich.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. I am not afraid of storms, for I am learning to sail my own ship. And this actually it hits home for me because my dad is an avid boater, right? And
is that the term, boater?
I don't know. He's a boater, I guess. He actually got caught
Yeah, I think it is.
in a storm one time. And I remember asking him, and I said, Dad, like, were you petrified? And he's like, honestly, I wasn't really scared of the storm. I knew that if this was meant for me and this was the way that I was supposed to handle this situation, that's what it is. And from that point, when I see a quote like this, that's always what I think about. But I'm not really afraid of the adversity that's coming in life. I'm not scared of the challenges like we always talk about. It's our race, like you say. It's your own race. It's my own race. So it's funny, though, because if you asked me this stuff a little while ago, I don't know if I would have interpreted it the same. But I feel the growth.
I can see the growth, mainly in your chest.
Is my head getting bigger or just my
in your
my
thighs?
chest?
I can't tell. It's like it looks like a what is it when you look at something that looks different than it really is? Optical illusion.
Optical illusion. That's right. That's what I try to create for you. So go ahead, kid.
So that's a nice dime. There's a quote that I think you'll love too. It's a smooth sea never made a skillful sailor, and it's just saying that adversity gives you the opportunity to test your limits and figure out how good you are. So shout out to the boaters in the world.
That's right.
Mike's mantra I'm taking from Tom Bellew because apparently he does Quest, and I like Quest, the brand. Shout out. Maybe get a little sponsorship.
Right.
So Miguelito's mantra.
Ito.
Doubt is the greatest gift. So what I've found in my motivation is that I like to have a chip on my shoulder, and I don't let it affect me as far as externally. Like I don't get insulted by people saying stuff. I just kind of internalize it and then use that, even though I hold no grudge against the person. I just like to hear it so that I can use it. So when you were doubting me with the back and forth last episode or 2 episodes ago, it gave me you lit the pilot light.
That's what I'm here for, man. I'm here to fuel your flame.
You're just pulling wisdom out of those whiskers. Every time you drop a dime, you pluck one and
these wisdom whiskeys. And CV wrote in a quote. And now, honestly, CV, since you wrote this in, now you're committed to this. You're going to become part of this little section. Can you give us a name for your quote here? Something with CV, something with Claudio. And take yourself off mute, man. Let the people hear you.
Yeah. MCV or something, like MTV.
MCV. He's typing. Sorry for the awkward silence. I don't know why he doesn't want to just jump in here and talk to the people. And by the way, while he types that, we are very excited to soon. We will be getting back to our A1 audio visual. I know this Zoom thing is very convenient for us, but there is a significant drop off in the audio quality, and it's driving CV nuts. So we got to let him, get that back. So we might be doing some social distance episodes outside when it's nice. So I'm looking forward to that. Claudio's quotas.
Oh, I love it. That was good.
Claudio's quotas. So I'm going to read your quote. All right, man. I guess.
Make it nice.
Love many, trust few, and always paddle your own canoe. Wow, that was like a. That was better than anyone we've done. Poem. That was
Dr. Seuss.
We need some poetry. Wow, this is. We have to have a poetry segment for Claudio at the end. Wow, that was awesome. Mike, hit us with some heat on the feet.
So I don't know if you've seen the Wednesdays for Weston wristbands, but we have the family friend, and we've talked about them. And I don't think I've shown the socks.
No, you haven't. I can't believe I just wore mine.
Come on, Pete. Come on.
Go ahead, show him.
Yeah, so just want to give a shout out. he's been extremely inspirational. He is Pete, you're killing my segment here. But he's been an inspiration, and I know the family continues to fight, and it's one of the strongest families I know. Just want to let you guys know our thoughts and prayers are with you, and continue fighting hard. But this was the socks that we kind of sold to help promote it, and it's been a fun thing that we rock every once in a while.
Yes, and it's a picture of Weston's face. A very very studly kid.
Yeah, his nickname's the Beast because he just eats like an animal, which is hilarious.
That's awesome.
Even through all the adversity. But it's something that kind of grounds me every once again when I think about it, and it's kept me very positive because everyone's got their own struggles, and you want to be there for other people. So shout out to that. I need to get some more socks for sure. So there will be a new shipment. Everything's delayed. I might have to just start stealing people's socks.
Yeah, you got to go
to people's houses.
Go into Dana's sock drawer or something like that. But all right, guys. So continue writing in the emails that are coming in. They fire us up. They fire us up. The feedback is awesome. If you want to attack Mike on his new journey, go ahead. If you want to attack me,
welcome it.
I welcome it. The struggle, we welcome it. We already know that, Mike.
Yes. But I love it. It's some hilarious stuff. And Zach, your email was great this morning. I was at 400 push-ups, and I started to feel a little twinge. And then Dave sent me the email of you saying that you lost a little faith in me when the push-ups fell off. Fired me up.
Yep. So that's it, man. Until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up, get after it. And get after it.
Yo, it's Saturday. Time to crush some Oreos.
That's another Effie in the books. Go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at No Snooze Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze. Come on.